Hi everyone. This is Sharon for another conscious sharing moment. For this conscious sharing moment, what I want to talk about is venting. Some may consider it as emotionally venting or emotionally dumping. And so, when it comes to venting, there are a couple of things to keep in mind is that first of all venting does not require I put it like this: venting can be, and most of the time is therapeutic for the person who is doing the venting. And it does not always require a intervention. And most of the time, when someone needs to vent, they really need to be able to release, and sometimes may need or want someone to comfort them. One thing that I will say for everyone to really understand this is that when it comes to venting, not just like talking about, oh, this is what has happened, is that it is emotional for the person who's venting. And if someone is holding space for you, a family friend, or whoever it may be, whatever is being vented about, that impacts them. And we never know what someone is going through. We never know that. It can be your spouse, it can be your child. You just never know what someone is going through at that particular time. And so, in saying that, sometimes it may seem like if you need to vent, if you have something that's going on or something is really bothering you, and again, it doesn't mean that someone needs to go to therapy about it. They may already be going to therapy. Most of the time, this is stuff in between therapy if someone is already in therapy. In that, sometimes when you need to vent, no one may not be available to allow that to happen. And you know how we say no is a complete answer, and everyone is doing their own self-care. It can be in let's say for instance, if someone needs to vent to me, I may not have the emotional capacity to hold space for that person. So when it comes to the social sacred space, I talked about this one time before, in that yes, it's good to be able to have social sacred spaces for others, but I need to make sure I have the emotional capacity to be able to hold space for that person and be okay afterwards. And then vice versa, if I need to vent to someone, I need to make sure that they have the emotional capacity to get permission in order to do that. So that's really important for the person. Like if you're someone who needs to vent and no one is available, it's it really isn't personal, and it may feel like no one is there for you. One thing that I can say is it takes a lot, and especially if there is repetition of the emotional venting, whether it's the same topic or different topics, but just meaning that, like, even me as a therapist, outside of my job, when it comes to other people personal, sometimes I don't have the emotional capacity to hold space for someone else, and then vice versa. Sometimes some of my friends may not have the emotional capacity to hold space for me. And so this is why I say, and this is why I'm so passionate about self care. And again, self care is truly taking care of yourself, truly you finding what's going to help you to regulate your emotion, to soothe yourself. Because at the end of the day, we're responsible for ourselves, regardless of what happened to us. And I know that that may sound, you know, maybe not so compassionate or something. I don't know. And I sure hope it doesn't come across that way. But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, you know how they say that no one is coming to rescue us. And that is so true, because sometimes at any given time, when you may need to vent to someone, they just may not be available. You can call them and no one answers. Have you ever been that way? Has that ever happened? That's happened to me. Did I feel like that somebody is, oh, I have no friends I can depend on? No, but that's when I knew I had to go deeper within myself to soothe myself. And like I said, what I was saying before too, in that when it comes to some individuals, sometimes some individuals emotionally really do dump. It's like every time you look around, and I don't mean to sound like that, but they're always talking about their problems, their problems, their problems. And that's a lot on the person who's receiving that. And even, let's say when we become hurt, of course, we're not thinking about that at that particular time, in which someone can perceive something as being emotionally dumping, because we are letting them know how we feel about something, especially if it's a behavior or action or something that they've said, done, or whatever it may be. And, only thing I can say is that sometimes we may need to look at our own behaviors and what we're doing. But at the end of the day, take time and find out what you need to take care of you, because sometimes some people just don't have the emotional capacity to be able to hold space for you. It doesn't mean they don't care. It doesn't mean they're not your friend. It doesn't mean they don't love you. It means that they are using their own self-care to take care of themselves, and they may not have the emotional capacity, and it may not have anything to do with you, because again, sometimes people are going through things and they just may not tell you. I used to always tell people, and still do, in that, because I know even for myself, I may not always tell people, even my closest friend or my family, what I'm going through at that particular time. And especially if it's something new, sometimes I'm trying to figure out what's going on to make sense of it. It's almost like I got to get to a certain point where I can handle it. Because most of the time, if it's so emotional, other people really don't know what to do with that. And then if you're on the receiving end, most of the time, most people just need to be heard. They're not really looking for answers or resolutions, because we really do have the capacity to heal ourselves, to recover. And so most people just really need someone, just to really be there. There's something about human connection. It's like in knowing that someone is there for you, is knowing that someone can hold social sacred space for you. That's all what people need. But this is why I really advocate for self-care, so that I can have the emotional capacity to hold space. Am I going to be able to do it every single time, all the time? No. But I hope that I'm able to. But the main thing is for me to be able to hold the personal sacred space for myself. And that's for each of us, to continue to do that. And believe you me, life will have it where no matter who you call, no one's answering the phone. I mean, that's happened to me, I want to say more than once. And I know I've said it before on a previous conscious sharing moment, but there was a time where like two of my best friends, all of us was going through something at the exact same time. All of us had something going on. Did we get mad at each other or anything? I mean, we were able to let each other know what was going on, but to be able to have the additional support that we usually have for each other, we weren't able to do that because we were holding space for our own. We could not do anything else but to deal with our own um, journey, our own thing of what we were going through. So, again, please do not take it personal when someone is not able to be there for you, because sometimes it can be perceived and sometimes it can be emotionally dumping if they don't have the capacity to hold space. for you. And so, again, be mindful of that and continue to investigate what works for you when it comes to when it comes to regulating emotions, when it comes to you soothing yourself and having that deep understanding. And one thing about, like the 4 pillars of self-care, that fourth one is action and movement. And so having embodiment practices is really, really helpful. And also, when it comes to breathing, meditation, but mainly the breathing is something that really helps regulate the body. So definitely keep this in mind, because in order for us to be better, to be well in life, and to have vision and to move forward, is to be able to invest in yourself. And so, again, thank you for joining me for this conscious sharing moment. Remember to like and share. Remember to let me know what you think about these conscious sharing moments in the comments. And if you are on YouTube, remember to subscribe as well. So, see you next time for another conscious sharing moment.